Welcome to your course in Contemporary Issues in Small Business Development. I'm David Zidel. I'm going to be your course leader for this course. And the course is made up of 7 weeks. The first week is going to be the entrepreneurial mindset. Then week 2, the business model plan. Financing the business is week 3. Week 4 will be business communication skills. Week 5, networking and customer focus. Then in the 6th week, we're going to be doing selling skills, and we're going to wrap it all up with personal success factors relating to running a small business. So we've designed this course to give you some input. As you know, the textbook we're going to be using is this textbook over here, Small Business Management. It has a lot more information in it than what we're covering in the course, so it allows you to pick and choose what you want to go through if you want to develop it further. Obviously, in 7 weeks, we can't change you from someone who's never done business into someone who is going to do business completely. But we can give you some of those important factors and some of that important input that hopefully will be very useful and valuable for you. Many years ago, I had the opportunity of meeting Stephen Covey. This is a picture of myself and Stephen Covey. He's holding my book, Basic Business Calculations, which you most probably have never heard of. I'm holding his book, which you most probably have heard of. His book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. My book has sold over 20,000 copies, which might sound great, but his book has sold over 15 million copies worldwide. And the reason I put this picture up is that Stephen Covey said something very, very important and valuable. He said, this is how we actually learn. If you pick up a book and you read it, you've only got about 10% of the knowledge that you need to have. It's when you start hearing and seeing other people use that information. It's when you start discussing it with others. It's when you actually experience it. When you're doing it yourself, that's where you start learning the most. So we're giving you some input on this course, but we're hoping that it's not going to be just reading it and hearing it and maybe watching a few videos and seeing it. You're going to start involving yourself in it a lot more and discussing it. And that's why we've created quite a few exercises where you discuss it with each other. Then your own personal stuff will come through and you could start helping each other. And it's often the little things that make the big things happen. And I'm running ahead of myself a little bit here, and I'll explain to you why. That when I swapped that book with Stephen Covey, he took my book and I got his book. And when I got home, I opened the book and he had written this for me. He said, David, thanks for your book. And then he wrote something else, and I couldn't quite make out what that is. And I kind of looked at it and then put it away. And years later, my mom-in-law came to visit and happened to have picked up the book. And she read through it and she said, David, what does this say? And I said, I have no idea. And so she wrote to their offices in New York and said to them, this is what you wrote. What does it mean? And we got this message back. It said, David, thanks for your book. You're a trim tab. And she said to me, David, what is a trim tab? And I said, I have no idea what a trim tab is. So she wrote back to them and asked them, what is a trim tab? And we got this message back. The trim tab is the small rudder that moves the big rudder that moves the entire ship. And I think they were trying to advertise the next book that had come out, The 8th Habit, because they said this is written on the page 32 of The 8th Habit. So what does that mean? The small rudder that moves the big rudder that moves the whole ship. So this is how it actually works. There's so much water pressure on the rudder that when you turn the wheel, it won't work. The way it actually happens is that when you turn that wheel, it turns the little rudder. The little rudder then can move the big rudder, and then the big rudder moves the whole ship. And the message behind this, it's the small change in the trim tab that eventually makes the giant ocean liner change course. It's the little things that make the big things happen. And we often want to take one giant leap, but it's doing a lot of the little things that make things successful in the end. And when you run a business, and when you're running a small business, there are lots of these little things, but you have to do them all. Otherwise, the chances of success are diminished. And we often want to have that one big success and get there quickly. And today's society, the instant society, as I like to call it, we want things instantaneously. But you get there slowly. Warren Buffett came out with a quote recently. Now, Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of our time, one of the richest men in the world. And he said, people today are not patient enough. He said, you can't make 9 women pregnant and trying to have a baby in 1 month. And it's quite a strange quote, that, because we know a woman falls pregnant and it takes 9 months to have a baby. But you can't multitask that. And the thought process is exactly the same as this. So you're going to be learning quite a few different things on this course. And there's a lot more to learn. And learning is about teaching yourself. So on this course, we're opening the door for you, hoping that you will then take that and teach yourself and learn as you go along. I want to finish off with one little quote that I think is very valuable and very useful, and it's one of my preferred quotes because it relates to running a small business. And the quote is this: you don't drown by falling in the water. You drown by not swimming once you've fallen in the water. Things are going to go wrong. It's what you do when things go wrong that determine whether it's going to be a success or not. And even on this course, try keep up with the workload that you have to do. Week by week, we'll give you when things have to be done. Stick to that. And even if you don't, if you've fallen in the water, then start swimming again as quick as possible. So I'm David Zidel, and I'd like to welcome you to this small business journey. I hope you enjoy it.